Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here to present you my NBA morning shoot around for Monday, November 11th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all my NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't came and checked out the website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel, and Draftkings cash signups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So we got a solid little 6-game slate. There's a lot of money out there today. Started off by saying Happy Veterans Day to all the people out there that served in our services. And yeah, man, let's go. So we'll start at point guard as always, and we'll kind of move through the different positions. I think that there's some guys we could pay up for at point guard. There's some guys that, there's some good value plays out there. We'll start at the top. You got Luka Doncic. It should be a pretty competitive game to go against Boston. Doncic has triple-double upside any night. I mean, the guy's definitely filling up the stat sheet, close to averaging a triple-double. 54 fantasy points on the season he's averaging. That's about what you need for him to hit value on this 10.7 price tag. And he definitely gives us some upside, even though the price tag is up a little bit. I think Doncic is a really, really good play today. You got Westbrook going against New Orleans. This should be a pretty up-tempo game, back and forth. Westbrook, they already had this matchup earlier this year. Westbrook had a triple-double, 58, 59 fantasy points. One thing I will say is, man, 3 straight games of Russell Westbrook kind of struggling a little bit. This is going to happen. Westbrook is ball dominant. James Harden is ball dominant. I knew this was going to happen from the very beginning of the season. It's like one day one guy's going to do good. The next day, the other guy's going to do good. Whoever has a hot hand, they're going to kind of go with. I just feel like that's the early trend of the season. And, you see, 33, 39, 23 fantasy points for Russell Westbrook the past 3. Those numbers on a 9.9 price tag is going to absolutely kill us. I definitely think, as the season goes on, he'll kind of figure it out a little bit more with James Harden, and he'll get back to, a little bit more stat stuffing. But it's just tough in the season. At the end of the day, it is James Harden's team. So Westbrook is going to be the guy that's probably going to have to take a little bit of a back seat. I think he'll definitely throw Kemba Walker out there as well, going against Dallas. Like I said, should be a very competitive game. Kemba Walker, he's playing very, very well. He's only had 2 kind of games, since being in Boston. He's had some really, really good games. He's going to be the leader of this team, and they definitely need him to play well if they're going to be competitive in the East. Moving down, we'll save a little bit of money. I think there's some guys in the mid-tier that we can definitely look at. First thing first, I'll start with Mike Conley. I just think Mike Conley is too cheap. 6,800 for Mike Conley. Definitely he's up and down to start the season, trying to figure out his role with his new team. But this is just too cheap of a price tag. You need about 33 for value. I definitely think he'd get there, especially against a Warriors team. They got a bunch of young guys that they're playing right now, and it's going to be a very up-tempo, fast-paced game. Good style of play for Mike Conley. So I think that 6,800, he's a guy definitely we can look at. He's playing 30-plus minutes a game, so we got to look at the minutes and really like that. Next guy, I'm going to go with DeJounte Murray, 6,700. This guy, man, thing about him is it's frustrating. He's not getting the minutes. He's only playing. They're trying to ease him back into the season. He's only playing 24, 25 minutes, but the guy has massive upside even on 25 minutes a game. Imagine if he was playing 30 minutes a game. The guy would absolutely crush fantasy day in and day out. Definitely think you can go back to the well here. A little bit more of a GPP play just because, like I said, the minutes have kind of been down a little bit, and it's tough to really, really, go crazy when you're limited minutes. Either way, I like him. Definitely think he's in play. One more guy we can look at. You got Jeff Teague. He plans on playing tonight against the Pistons. He's been out the past couple of days with the illness. It's not like he's been out because he was hurt. He was just sick. I expect him to come back after about a week off, and he's going to jump right back into his minutes. He should play right around 30 minutes. This is a pretty solid spot going against Detroit. 6,200 is pretty cheap for Teague. We know this guy could definitely fill up the stat sheet, even in limited minutes. So I think I like the buy low opportunity that's there on Jeff Teague. Moving on, shooting guard, we'll start with James Harden. He's a guy, for the most part, he's going to get hits. 3 straight games of at least 67 fantasy points. Like I mentioned to you guys, with the Russell Westbrook thing. Russell Westbrook, 3 straight bad games. James Harden, 3 straight amazing games. It's just how it's going to be with those 2 guys. Whoever has a hot hand, they're going to kind of ride. James Harden is going to get his shots. He's going to get, his production usually for the most part. 12,000 is a tough price tag. You need 60 for value, but I definitely think this is a game where he could, have a solid matchup. One thing I will say, earlier in the year when they faced New Orleans, it was Russell Westbrook's night. It wasn't James Harden's night. He had basically the worst game of his season so far with only 36 fantasy points. That could also be due to the fact that they got Drew Holiday guarding him. It is a tough matchup, and if we feel Drew Holiday is going to guard James Harden once again tonight, then you could definitely think that, they may give a bump to Russell Westbrook. So I like that. I like the idea of Russell Westbrook kind of having a pretty good night tonight. Either way, James Harden, he's going to take 20, 30 shots a game, so you definitely got to consider him. Next, we will after him, I think there's one more guy you possibly pay up for, and then that's really where I'm at. I think that it's Drew Holiday. Up-tempo game against Houston. Or he didn't play. Actually, I'm sorry, he didn't play the last game against Houston, and James Harden still had a bad game. So the fact he is going to play today and probably guard James Harden, yeah, it's going to be a tough spot for him. Whoever Holiday's guarding, they definitely get it down good. The guy's a really, really good perimeter defender. I like Drew Holiday though, giving us a solid spot. The ball's in his hand a lot, and he's going to play a bunch of minutes. 8,300 up-tempo game against Houston. I think a solid spot right here for Drew Holiday. Moving down, I'm just going to go with a couple of value guys now that I definitely think we can look at. First thing first, mid-tier guy, Jaylee Brown. He was out a couple games. He was sick, came back-to-back games of playing 32 minutes or more. Coming off a really monster game of 46 fantasy points. They paid this guy for a reason. The guy's a baller. Like I said, it should be a really competitive game going against the Mavericks today. 6,400, I definitely think he's a guy that we can really, really look at. Then we got a couple value guys. We'll go with his teammate, Marcus Smart. I think Marcus Smart definitely is a guy we can still consider. The minutes are down a little bit when Jaylen Brown's back. We would like to see him in the 30s, but he's the first guy off the bench. He's going to play backup point guard. He's going to play backup shooting guard. Down the stretch of competitive games, he's their best defender. They're going to have him on the floor. I think he's a GPP player just because he is coming off the bench, but I think that you could definitely still look at Marcus Smart today. Lastly, another guy that we will throw out there, get you some value. We got some injuries out there in Toronto. Norman Powell's a guy that we can look at. The minutes have been up the past couple of games, 25, 29 minutes. Now, the 4,300 price tag, all we need is about 21, 22 for value, and he's got you 25 and 28 the past two games. I think that he's a pretty good value play that we could consider. Moving on to small forward, it's pretty easy. You start at the top, Kawhi Leonard, going against Toronto, the team that he won a championship for last year. The Toronto could come out, give them their all, and be like, hey, man, you shouldn't have left us. I think Kawhi Leonard 10.5 is giving us a solid floor. I like him. I think he's a guy that you could definitely consider paying up for today. You can look at Siakam as well on the flip side of things. 9,700, the price tag is up. The guy's giving us a really good floor, though, at least 49 fantasy points in 3 straight games. I'd definitely rather spend the extra money on Kawhi Leonard. I just feel his floor is a little bit more safe. But both of these guys you could really consider. Brandon Ingram, 8.8, up-tempo game, going against Houston. Had a monster game last time against Houston, 35, 15, and 5 for 58 fantasy points. Rick Ingram's playing very well. He was a guy that I didn't want the Lakers to get rid of because I knew he was going to be that guy one day. The guy's a baller. But yeah, I think Ingram, definitely you could look at paying up for him. After that, I think that there's a mid-tier guy we could look at. There's a couple value guys. Mid-tier guy, Bogdanovich, been playing this guy a couple of times already this year, and he's playing very well. He's getting his minutes out there, giving you a solid floor. 6,200. You need 31 for value. He's averaging 31 on the season. This is a pretty good spot for Bogdanovich in an up-tempo game. I think you can really look at him. Then we got Eric Gordon, 4,200. You only need 21 for value. The minutes are all over the place, so he's strictly GPP play. But Eric Gordon, if he's going to get some extended run, if this game, gets out of hand or it's competitive, they need an extra shooter out there, he's going to be the first guy off the bench. And I think Eric Gordon's a guy we could definitely consider. Like I said, GPP only just because he's been super inconsistent, but he definitely has the upside. And lastly, We can look at a guy, Kendrick Williams. I think he's a guy that we can really, really consider. The guy's earned some extra minutes right now. Last game, played 28 minutes, 15, 5, 3, 1, and 2. Filled up the stat sheet for 35 fantasy points at 3,900. All we need is 19 for him to hit value. And, we just seen him crush this price tag. So if he's going to get some extended run, I think he's a guy we can look at as a value play. Moving on to power forward. Power forward, there's some guys in the little bit upper tier that we can look at. A couple mid-tier guys. First, we will start with Porzingis. Rested last game. Should come back ready to go today. He's been playing right around 33 to 35 minutes a game. He's already showing us some upside at 8,300. All you need is about 41 for value. You can really consider him. Jason Tatum. 8,100. The guy's, same thing. He's playing, 33, 34 minutes. He's got you at least, 34 fantasy points every single game this year, showing us a solid floor, doing a little bit of everything. Jason Tatum's another really good play. I like that Dallas and Boston game. I think that's going to be a very competitive game, but we could definitely going to get some pieces from that game. Marcus Aldridge going against Memphis. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. Memphis don't have no really big guys that I feel could really give Marcus Aldridge a fit. He's not going to be going against Valanciunas at center very much, in my opinion. I think he's going to be going against a young guy, Jaren Jackson, who definitely tends to get in foul trouble. So I think, Aldridge is a solid play. Talking about Jaren Jackson, though, if he doesn't get in foul trouble and he can just actually stay on the floor, I think he's a guy that you could consider. You need 31 for value. It's all about minutes, man. 29 minutes back-to-back games. If he stays out of foul trouble, he definitely has some upside on these price tags. So on a small slate, I think that he's a guy you could also consider. Lastly, a guy I like, I think that we can look at Derrick Favors going against Houston. 5,300. It's all about minutes. If he's going to play the minutes, played 29 minutes last game, got back in that starting lineup, and got you a double-double, 31 fantasy points. Earlier in the year, before he got hurt, when he was getting the minutes, he can produce. It's all about minutes. I would love to see him play right around 28 to 30 minutes. If that's the case, at a 5,300 price tag, great play right there. And that's really where I'm at for power forward. I'm going to move on to center. Finish it off. So we'll start at the top. I think there's just a premier value play everybody's going to be on. I usually like to start at the top, but I'm just going to go straight to him. I think this guy Butcher is gonna get some extended run. Ibaka was out with the ankle injury, and he's a guy that got the Ibaka run 24 minutes, produced very well. 34 fantasy points. You definitely got to like that. At a 4,100 price tag, you only need 21 for value. I think he's a guy that, as long as Ibaka continues to be out, we could definitely look at. Price tag is going to jump up quick, so this is a buy low opportunity. Don't overthink it. I think he's a really, really good value play out there. We'll move back to the top. You got Karl-Anthony Towns, 10.8, going against Detroit. Look at the guys giving you a solid floor. It is what it is. I'm going to clump them up going against each other. Same thing with Andre Drummond. Both of these guys are giving you a really good floor. They're both playing very, very well. Double-doubles basically every single night. The only thing I will caution you with is them going against each other. Whenever big guys go against each other, somebody tends to get in foul trouble. It's just kind of how it usually works out. So it's a tough spot for both of them because they're both some big guys that are be big against each other. But both are definitely in play. Then we can go down to Marc Gasol. I talked about Butcher and Ibaka being out. I think Marc Gasol is a guy that's going to benefit as well. He's going to get some extended run. Played 33 minutes last game with Ibaka. Didn't produce very well, but Lakers have some really good big guys down there, and it's kind of a tough spot. I definitely expect Marc Gasol to have a breakout game sooner or later, and this is a perfect opportunity with Ibaka out there to kind of eat into some of his minutes. Lastly, a guy I think that we can play strictly GPP, but you got Willie Cauley-Stein. Back-to-back games at 23, 24 minutes. At a 4.9 price tag, you need about 25 for value. He can get there, just if he's going to play the minutes or not. It is a tough matchup against Gobert and the Jazz. I will throw that out there. He's pretty cheap right here at 4.9. He's a guy that's very active, and we know that he has some upside. We've seen it out there when he was playing with the Kings the past couple of years. So that's really where I'm at with today's slate. If you want a more in-depth analysis, make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. And then good luck on your guys' contest today, all right? Peace out.